This is a practice of getting to know yourself in a new way. Learning through listening to instructions, trying to discover new sensations and feeling connections between things. I'm going to give you instructions, and the idea is not to figure out the right way to do it, not to be really good at it. The idea is to take a moment with yourself. That's it. So first, come and stand up. And give yourself a few moments to see what this situation is like for you. And it's a funny question, but notice as you're standing there, how much of yourself you feel standing there. A lot of times, we're standing, we are engaging with life, but our mind has taken us so far from our feelings, from our sensations, that we actually aren't really fully embodied in standing. See, do you feel a difference on one foot and the other foot? Does one foot make a different kind of footprint? Does one leg have more tighter muscles or more of a bend in the knee? Your buttocks feel like they do a lot of work to help you stand up. And how about your back? You've got the low part of your back and the higher part of your back, your shoulders. Do you notice any other differences there in your sensing of one side of you and the other side of you? And then finally, see the way that you feel your head. Is your head floating in the air, or is your head connected to you? Where do you feel the weight of it? It's quite heavy. So how do you feel the weight of your head? And see if you can just take a few moments to walk around the room and see what you notice about yourself walking. Do you still feel your head when you walk? Does your head move? Is it fixed in one place? How about your arms? Do your arms move when you walk, or are they fixed? Do you breathe when you walk, or do you prefer to hold your breath? You have to think about breathing when you walk. And then how about your bum and your legs? Do you have kind of a favorite leg? Like you spend a little bit more time on one leg? I'll ask you tons of questions in this lesson, and the idea isn't to come up with the right answer. The idea is to ask these kinds of questions. You open up this inquiry to new things. Okay, good. So you file away whatever data you just collected about yourself, and then come to your place and lay down on your back. Lay out with your legs long and your arms by your sides. And if you immediately discover that that's not a very nice place for your back, then keep your knees bent with your feet standing. And with your legs long and your arms by your sides, you might notice that you are in a position very similar to yourself when you were standing up a moment ago. And then take your time to adjust to this change of state. See if you can feel the way that your breathing is starting to change. So now you've had a little bit more time without instruction, just laying there, and you can take a moment and sort of reflect on what that process was like for you. When you were standing, I asked you how much of yourself you felt standing and how much was your mind kind of elsewhere from standing. So now you can look at that same idea here and say, okay, I'm laying on the floor. How much am I experiencing myself laying on the floor, and how much is my mind getting entangled in other much more interesting things? And because what we're doing here is not a technique, it's a form of learning. As you continue with the Feldenkrais method as a practice, what you'll discover is that your ability to sense differences gets more and more refined, and your ability to be still and slow and listen also gets refined. So it's a nice skill that you can then transcribe into your daily life. So for now, bring your attention to the way that you feel the weight of yourself going down into the floor. And see if you can start by feeling the difference of where the weight of yourself is quite heavy, and then where it gets a little bit less heavy, and then where it gets a little bit less heavy, and then where there's parts of yourself that actually don't touch the floor, and then where it starts to get a little bit more heavy and onward. The more you practice feeling differences, the more subtle and refined your sensory self-image. You have a more complete image of yourself. So if your brain only recognizes 3 parts of you to use, there's only so many combinations you can do. But if your brain recognizes 100 parts of you, think of all the possibilities of how you could use yourself. And the same goes for your breathing. So bring your attention to your breathing and see, what does it feel like? And then listen and see, does your breathing feel the same in your chest, in the top of your chest, as it does in your belly? Can you feel the difference between your breathing and your chest? The top of your chest, or let's say the top of your belly. And then shift your attention to the way that you feel the back of your hips. You'll hear me calling this area your pelvis. And your pelvis means the back of your hips, behind your bum, the side of your hips, the front of your hips. And it also means the bottom of your hips, meaning your sitting bones, your tailbone, pubic bone, that whole circumference, that whole bony area above your legs. And from there, sense yourself up your back to the back of your head. And see if you can feel, by the way the floor is touching you, the curves of your back. And feel the curve of your low back, that little space. I'm going to call that a bridge, a little bridge of space. And also feel the space behind your neck, like another little bridge. And it's a bridge when you feel each side of it, right? The space is there because of where you feel in the back of your head, and then where you feel in the top of your shoulders. And the space of your low back is from where you feel in the back of your hips, where you feel on your spine. So as you continue to breathe, just normally, comfortably, see if you can feel both of those bridges. And listen for if there's any kind of micro influence on those bridges when you breathe. And then compare, let's see. Now, if you start to breathe into the lowest part of your belly that you can, meaning as close to your pubic bone as possible, is there anything that you feel in the bridge behind your low back? And then see if you take a few breaths into the very top of your chest, right underneath your collarbones, and see, does breathing up there have any kind of little influence on the bridge behind your neck?
And just play with what it would be like if one time you breathed into your belly, your lowest low belly, and then breathed out. And then one time you breathed into the highest part of your chest and breathed out. And what's it feel like? Just very slowly, with no sort of effort or strength. And which feeling do you like better? And whether you realize it with your cognitive, conscious, analytical brain or not, what you're discovering is a little something about your innate breathing habits. So now let's see how we can start to translate that into your physical posture. Bend your knees and stand your feet. Have your feet in the place that you feel the least amount of effort in your legs. Your legs don't knock together, they don't fall open to the sides. You might need to do a little investigative research to figure out where the best place is. Okay, so the first thing is, now that your feet are standing, check and see, did anything change in the way that you're touching the floor from the back of your hips along the curves of your back to the back of your head? I'm going to ask 1,000 questions. Sometimes the answer is, I have no idea. Our concern is not the answer to the question. Right? The game that we play with these questions is leading you to notice new things. Now, continue to breathe in a way that's easy and comfortable for you, but start to do this really, really gentle movement of lengthening the back of your neck so that that bridge behind your neck gets a little bit lower. And play with what's the tiniest amount you can do that, but still really feel something's happening. A neutral head to lengthening the back of your neck, the back of your head a little bit, and then releasing. Pay attention when you lengthen the back of your neck. Would you say that inspires an inhale or an exhale? So try it each way, see if you can tell the difference. And then the next time the back of your neck is long, stay there so that you have kind of a pronounced position of your chin dropped. Stay in that position and feel what breathing feels like. And then leave that, let your head go back to neutral. And then start doing a movement of pushing your belly forward as you breathe in. And then as you continue breathing into your lowest low belly and letting your belly fill up and go forward, start to arch your low back just a little bit. Make sure you're not stretching, you're not straining, just the smallest arch of your low back. Feel how when you are tilting your pelvis forward by arching your low back, that it's somehow supporting bringing your belly forward. And can you continue breathing in, tilting your pelvis forward, bringing your belly forward, and return your attention back up to the back of your head, and see if as you're pushing your belly forward, if you can also do that movement of lengthening the back of your neck. So as your abdomen gets bigger, the space behind your low back gets higher, the bridge of your low back is higher, and the bridge behind your neck starts to get lower. See if you can feel that connection. And then keep your pelvis quiet, but continue doing the breathing with just the movement of your head. And then continue to do that, but instead of breathing into your belly, see how it is to breathe into your chest as the bridge behind your neck gets a little smaller. Let's consider which one feels better for you. And then leave all that and take a rest. Lengthen out your legs, bring your arms down. Notice how it is for you to focus your attention in this way, to engage in this way, feeling details without getting a big hit of dopamine. Notice for yourself when you want to check out, when you want to go to sleep, when you want to speed up or make things harder or faster, right? Okay, bend your knees and stand your feet again. And now a few times do the movement of just lengthening the back of your neck so the bridge behind your neck gets lower, and then return. But now pay attention, if you do the movement slow enough and you listen carefully enough, do you start to feel the response in your pelvis? And see what it's like to make the bridge behind your neck bigger by tilting your head somehow. Of the 7 bones of your neck spine, which bones are moving in order for you to tilt your head back? And then here's another chance that you spontaneously can learn about your habits, which is as you're lifting your chin a little bit, as you're tilting your head, are you breathing in or are you breathing out? And play with that for a moment and see, okay, well, what feels like it makes the most sense to me? As I make the bridge behind my neck bigger, that feels like what? And then see how it is as you tilt your head back that you take a breath into the top part of your chest. And then as you breathe out, come back to neutral. And then see if you can leave your chest quiet and right down to your pubic bone. Fill your belly forward and down to your pubic bone as you tilt your head back. And see what that's like. Can you let your belly go forward as your head tilts back? What if you don't do it so strongly? Just gently, gently, gently let your belly go forward and down toward your pubic bone as you tilt your head back. Check that your legs are relaxed, your pelvis is heavy on the floor, not tensing or squeezing anywhere. And then leave your head quiet and start to do a movement of tilting your pelvis back so that the bridge behind your low back gets lower. The back of your sacrum, your low back goes more to the floor and then come back. Make sure that you're not pressing or squeezing, it's very light. So just continue like that. Like this is all you came here to do, is tilting your pelvis back so you listen to the sensation of your low back coming toward the floor and then return. And gradually, as you're tilting your pelvis, bring your attention to spontaneously, what do you do with your breathing? How high up your spine can you listen? When the bridge behind your back goes down, what happens to the bridge behind your neck? As you tilt your pelvis back and your low back goes down, the bridge gets smaller behind your back. Can you tilt your head back a little bit so that the bridge behind your neck gets a little bit higher? You choose. Do you do that when you breathe in or when you breathe out? Keep listening for the connection between those two bridges. Right? The two bridges are not actually bridges. They're parts of your spine.
And all parts of your spine speak to every other part of your spine. So continue with it and see if you can find a really smooth, gentle rhythm, tilting your pelvis back toward the floor as you tilt your neck away from the floor. Rest with it. Rest in whatever position is comfortable for you. So every Feldenkrais lesson you go to is different. Has a different theme within the context of the whole body. To learn about certain relationships in different parts of you, and you learn about certain habits you have using yourself. It takes a while to be able to focus your attention in this way, especially when the details are so small. So make sure that you don't wait for me to tell you to take a rest. Right? If you're checking out, if you're agitated, you're bored, whatever it is, rest. It means that you're full, your learning's full. And then at some point you might come back to the lesson, or maybe you just rest for the whole lesson, okay? But just make sure that you keep coming back to your experience. It's much more important than the instructions in the lesson. So let's continue. Bend your knees, stand your feet. And start to coordinate the two movements of both bridges. So make the bridge behind your low back a little bit higher as you make the bridge behind your neck a little bit lower. And then switch. So when your low back is touching the floor, your head is tilted back. And when your low back is lifted from the floor, your chin is tilted down. And see if you can breathe out when your head is tilted up. And breathe in when your head is tilted down. Fill your belly forward, your low back gets a little bit light, and your chin drops down. That's an in-breath. As you breathe out, bringing your low back to the floor, tilt your head back. And start to listen to that feeling of all the parts of your spine starting to get online and have a chat. And then pause with that for a moment and keep your feet standing. And just feel what comfortable breathing feels like. And as you're just resting and breathing, notice what you feel inside your mouth. Notice the space in the back of your throat and the feeling in the back of your tongue and your upper palate. And feel where your tongue is in your mouth. And see if you can notice the feeling of your jawbone connecting to your skull. And for a few moments, see what it's like to part your lips a little bit so that your jawbone hangs slightly, just like you're mildly amazed. And see if you can have the tongue in your mouth be really wide and kind of fat. Like the back of your throat is soft. And you're hanging, as much as possible, you're hanging your jawbone. So your bottom teeth don't touch your top teeth. And then see if you can keep your mouth like that, the back of your throat wide, but continue breathing in and out of your nose. Your lips are soft, the sides of your mouth are soft. Your eyes are soft, the sides of your eyes are soft. Just breathing in and out of your nose, but keeping your jaw hanging. Now see if you can keep that hangy jaw and the soft mouth. And just as gently breathe in and out of your mouth. But not strong, right? Just gently breathing into your mouth. The air is going to pass over your wide throat, wide tongue. As you continue like this, see if you can bring your attention back to the feeling of the bridge behind your neck. And the feeling in the front of your chest and the front of your belly and the bridge of your low back. Where do you feel any little micro responses to this kind of breathing? And then once again, go back to keeping your jaw hanging, and just a few more times, see what it's like to breathe in and out of the nose. Back of your throat is wide and soft.
Inhaling and exhaling out of the nose. What do you feel around your chest, the back of your neck, belly, and your low back? Okay. And then just pause for a moment, give your brain a break. And then go back to the first movement that you did, which was making the bridge behind your neck a little bit shorter, and see how that feels. And notice now if there's any clearer of a connection from that movement down yourself towards your hips, towards your pelvis. And see how it is to do the other movement of your head, the tilting back of your head, just the tilting back and return. And see what else you feel when you do that. And then start to go back and forth with your head. Like you're giving the back of your skull a little massage into the mat. And if you don't feel any response in your pelvis, start to create it again. So again, when you tilt your chin down, you tilt your pelvis forward. And then when you tilt your chin up, you tilt your pelvis back. Okay, now pause for a moment, hang your jawbone again. And this time you're going to see what happens if, as you breathe out, you're going to let the breath come out of your open mouth. But you're going to push gently into your feet. So take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, push gently into your feet. Let your low back start to get heavier. Let your head tilt back, but breathe out of the mouth and let your jawbone hang. So you breathe in and then push through your feet. Let your low back go to the floor. Tilt your head back and let your jawbone hang. Yeah. And now let's see, to make the exhale a little bit softer in the back of your throat, see if you can make a very light, quiet sound. And it's not about making the sound, it's just that when you make a sound, you're going to open up your throat a little bit more pronounced. So see how it feels. Breathe in, tilt your head back, hang your jawbone, breathe out of the mouth with a little gentle sound, and then come back as you breathe in. Hang your jawbone, hang your jawbone. It's almost like pretend that when you push into your feet, it's a mechanism that's attached to the hinge of your jaw. And by pushing into your feet, it makes your jaw hang. When you feel your jaw hang, you start to push out a gentle and take another rest, bring everything down. Check in on your learning process. Notice how you're feeling. Remember at the beginning of the lesson, I asked you when you were laying there to get a sense of if you were laying there with your whole self or if parts of you were still a little bit detached. So now you can reassess that as you're laying there. Are you feeling a little bit more of your whole self connected to the floor under you? And reassess what comfortable breathing feels like. But also reassess the overall weight of yourself, the curves of your back and the weight of your legs, your shoulders, your head. And now one more time, come on your back and bend your knees and stand your feet. And this time, as you do the movement of tilting your pelvis, see if you can do that movement of your pelvis, but leave your head totally passive. And if you don't control your neck or your shoulders, do you feel the response in your head? And then the next time your pelvis is tilted forward, so your low back is a little bit high, stay there. And if your chin isn't down, then drop your chin a little bit. So it's a kind of exaggerated position. The bridge behind your neck is low. The bridge behind your back is high. Now stay there in that position and feel what it feels like to breathe in and out. And then switch it up, go to the other position with your low back down and your chin lifted,
And again, pronounce it a little bit. So you're low, the bridge behind your back is low, bridge behind your neck is high. And then in that situation, take several breaths and see if you can feel what that posture feels like. Okay, and then pause with that for a moment with your body in neutral. And now this time we'll do a funny thing. So this time, let's say there's an elastic band between your chin and your pubic bone. As you breathe in, make that elastic band between your chin and your pubic bone longer. So as you tilt your pubic bone forward and you breathe in, you tilt your head back. Tilt your head back so that the elastic band between your pubic bone and your chin is longer. Yep. And then as you breathe out, do the opposite. So your low back goes to the floor, and then it's like your chin and your pubic bone get closer together when you breathe out. So it's the opposite of what you were just doing. And then your chin and your pubic bone get closer together. So see if you can do that with the inhale. As you inhale, you tilt your head back and you push your belly forward. Both bridges are higher. And then as you breathe out, you bring your chin and your pubic bone closer together and both bridges are lower. You continue like that, nice and slow and easy. See what that's like. Think of the feeling of the elastic band, drawing your chin and your pubic bone toward each other and then stretching that band so they move away from each other. Pause for a moment and slowly see how it is to breathe out as the elastic band gets longer. And breathe in as the elastic band gets shorter. Your chin and your pubic bone go away from each other. Bridge behind your back and behind your neck go both high. Exactly. Rest and see what normal breathing even feels like anymore. What is normal? What is normal posture? What is normal breathing? Okay, so let's try it one more time. Bend your knees, stand your feet. So as you breathe in, bring your chin and your pubic bone toward each other, like they're connected by an elastic band. So the bridge behind your neck and the bridge behind your back get low. And then as you breathe out, go the opposite. There you go. And then if that starts to make sense, try to confuse yourself one more time by going back to the previous variation, which is when the bridge behind your back is high, the bridge behind your back is low. And then switch. One bridge is high, one bridge is low. And is that starting to feel smoother and clearer? Check again on your own habit, which position evokes your inhale, which position evokes your exhale. When your belly goes forward for you, does that mean you breathe in or does that mean you breathe out? And then continue a few more times rocking back and forth, but start to do it so tiny that I can't even tell that you're doing it. And see, how tiny could you do the tilting of your pelvis and your neck that you still feel it, but that someone in the room couldn't even tell you were doing it? Let go. Bring everything down. Take a well-deserved rest and feel the way that the floor can teach you about yourself. Is there any more information from the floor now that maybe wasn't there at the beginning of the lesson? And then shift your attention back to the floor again and
Feel the length of your spine, starting at the back of your hips and going up to the back of your head. And feel the back of each of your legs touching the floor, from your hip to your heel. And each of your shoulders touching the floor, and from your shoulder down to each arm and hand. And also feel where the back of your neck connects to your shoulders and then to the back of your skull. And do a little micro movement of turning your head left and right. How far down your spine can you get some sort of feeling? Okay, and then leave that, and perhaps most importantly is now you're going to roll over and sit up and stand up. But as you do it, see if you can first start by feeling how you're breathing now, and pay attention to what changes in the feeling of your breathing. Go slow enough that you have time to pay attention. See if you can track what happens in your breathing as you go from your back to your side, to sit, to stand. And that's it. Hope to see you again.